What's going on, my good people? It's your boy, Big Perk. I'm hosting First Take today, filling in for the great Stephen A. We have our girl, Charlie. She's filling in for Molly. And Dominique Foxworth, I feel sorry for his loss. He's filling in for Max Kellerman. We're going to talk about who would you start a franchise with, Trae Young or Luka Doncic? First Take starts now. You don't want to miss it.
It's exciting to be able to go back home.
I gotta enjoy each game.
We got a chance to bounce back. You gotta be ready.
Just move on. Nobody picked him up. Now takes a deep three and drills it. What a start for the Hawks.
They came out aggressive. They threw a big punch.
Giannis dunks it with her right hand. How do you stop that freight train? Middleton buries another one.
Whoa, the Chris Middleton show.
We just stuck with it. Kept trying to grind them down. Finally, they started dropping for me at the right time, so I'm thankful for that.
How quickly things can change. Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to First Take on this beautiful Monday. I'm Charlie Arnold. We got Dominique Foxworth and Kendrick Perkins in the building. Gentlemen, how you doing today? You both look excellent in your different shades of what we have. Gray, the blues, looking good.
Doing the best I can. I'm hanging in
I'm
there.
doing well, Charlie. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Okay,
Good
guys,
morning
we have...
to you only, Charlie.
Oh, okay. I see where this is going.
Who determined who's in which seat? How come you get the Stephen A seat and I'm in the Max seat? I don't know if I agree with that. I declare that I'm filling in for Stephen A and you filling in for Max.
Okay, well, we'll see how this goes. Maybe, Dominic, you'll get the intro next time. But, guys, we have 1 hour. We have a lot to get to, so it's kind of going to be like, the Fast and the Furious, but we got this. So, look. We're all in different places right now, but I know all of us tuned into the same game last night. It saw the Bucks take a 2-1 series lead on the road. The fourth quarter was the difference maker. The Tides shifted with about 8 minutes left in the fourth. Trae Young stepped out of bounds on a referee's foot. He tweaked his ankle. He left him ineffective really the rest of the game, and it was almost as if Chris Middleton smelled the blood, hitting a trio of threes in less than 2 minutes. He ended up finishing with 38 points. The Bucks outscoring the Hawks 30-17 in the final. Look, how you feeling, Chris?
It's hurting. It's frustrating. When I came back in, it was just kind of sore, and I made me mad. I couldn't really go as fast as I wanted to, and then when I did, it hurt. So just gotta get treatment, and hopefully it feels better for next game.
I think once I realized I hit 2 in a row, just told myself to keep trying to find a shot to get up, knowing that I was gonna have a good chance of getting in. That's how I was thinking at that time.
All right, Middleton going off. So, Perk, what did Middleton prove last night?
What I've been preaching time and time again, that he's the Batman of this team and Giannis is the Robin. And look, it's okay to be the Robin. People think that's a bad thing. It's not. Okay, we all know that Giannis is a guy that could dominate the paint. He could get to the paint when he wants. But when it matters the most, we have seen time and time again that Giannis freezes up in the big moments. But when it matters the most, you could put the ball in Chris Middleton's hands and he delivers in great fashion. He's a guy that can create for his own. He's a shot maker. He shoots about 90% from the free throw line. He gets the job done. Last night, did you see him, Charlie? Did you see him, Foxworth? He went for 20 in the fourth. And when they were down, he took over the game. And Giannis said it after in his post-game interview. Hey, look. It don't even matter, man. If Chris want to take it over in the fourth, let him do it. You know what that told me? That Giannis even knows that he's the Batman on his team, Chris Middleton.
That's a stretch. So we're going to start off with some wild takes. I've heard you said that before in the past. So Chris Middleton is great. He proved last night that he can be big in big moments. But first of all, you said being called a Robin is not an insult. It absolutely is an insult to a 2-time MVP. Robin don't even got no pants. They send that man out there in bikini shorts with boots on. That's not the way you would treat a Batman. Batman got pants, and the person who wears the pants on that team is obviously the almost 7-foot Giannis Antetokounmpo. That whole team is built around him. You know why Chris Middleton can go off on occasion? Because they devise entire defenses to slow down Giannis. And yes, he's not perfect. He struggles from the free throw line, and his three-pointers, I think, 17% in the playoffs. They are bad. He is not perfect, but he is obviously the person who this team is built around. And you know how I can absolutely prove it? If I haven't proven it so far, I can prove it like this. At the end of this season, or at the end of both of their careers, no one is going to look at Giannis, say they never won a championship. No one's going to look at Chris Middleton and say, you know, Chris Middleton never won a championship. They're going to look at the two-time NBA MVP and measure his career by how many championships he won. That's only something that we do to Batman. We don't count up all of Pippen's championships, even though he won 6 and he was great. That's not something we do. That's how I know that Giannis is the Batman of this situation and is the star of that team. It's not even a debate.
See, and Foxworth, that lets me further know that while you were out doing other things last night, and this is why you're sitting in Max Kellerman's seat, because you probably wasn't even watching the game of basketball, okay, last night watching the game. Because if you were watching the game, then you can't sit up here and come here this morning and say, oh, no, Chris Middleton don't look like the Batman. Chris Middleton don't look like the more skilled player. Chris Middleton don't look like he embraces the moment when it matters the most. I'm not saying overall career. I'm talking about right now on this Milwaukee Bucks team, Chris Middleton is the Batman. I saw Giannis on a couple of occasions last night when he went to the free throw line and the crowd started chanting and counting down, you know, how long he was at the free throw line. And he shot airball free throws. He shot an airball three-pointer. But when they were down 6 or 7 points, Chris Middleton said, give me the damn basketball, and he took over. That's what Batmans do.
Well, it's one game. I give you that. Last night, Chris Middleton was more important to them. But throughout these entire playoffs and throughout the recent history of this franchise, the guy who leads them in points, rebounds, and he gets more assists than Chris Middleton. The guy who leads this team, the anchor to the defense. So we're not even going to talk about how Chris Middleton, at best, is probably, at best, he's close. He's not even close to what Giannis contributes on the defensive end of the ball. You're going to roll your eyes at me? You as a center don't appreciate rim protection.
Oh, first of all, don't give me that about rim protection, because Giannis is the secondary rim protector to Brook Lopez. And don't even bring up defense when you talk about them. Go pull up the stats. Go pull up the data. Don't even talk to me about Giannis. Don't even talk to me about Giannis and defense. Please don't. Because you know what? I'm going to take you back into last series alone. When it was time to guard Kevin Durant in Game 7, you know who was checking Kevin Durant? It was Chris Middleton. You know who was delivering buckets on the other end in the fourth quarter going toe-to-toe with KD? It was Chris Middleton. Giannis didn't check KD one time throughout the whole entire series.
Their best and most effective lineup is when Giannis is at the 5, offensively and defensively. So maybe you're going to say that Lopez is their primary rim protector, but when it's winning time, Giannis is the rim protector. And pulling Giannis away from the basket to guard Kevin Durant is not what's best for the team. So I'm with you. In that moment, it looks like you can pick these isolated moments, but if we open up the league to a draft right now, Giannis is getting picked before Chris Middleton because Giannis is better and more valuable to the team. Like, I understand all these shortcomings that Giannis has, and I understand that Chris Middleton is cooking in the playoffs right now. But let's not pretend like Chris Middleton is better than Giannis. That's the argument you're making, that somehow he's better?
I said he's more skilled, and I'm gonna end on this note. When I used to do crazy things or say things that I shouldn't have said, my grandmother used to tell me, God bless your heart, baby. You don't know no better. And that's how I feel about you right now.
That I don't know no better. Okay, so please, we're GMs in the same league, and now I got Giannis or you got Giannis on your team. I got Chris Middleton on my team, and I'm gonna say let's trade him, and you're gonna be like, yeah, sign it, send it to the league, fax it over to the league office right now.
Listen, I was almost about to call you Max. Dominique, listen what I'm telling you. I'm telling you right now in the moment, I'm talking about this season. I'm not saying who would you start a franchise with. I'm saying in this moment in the Eastern Conference Finals, when you have been watching the Milwaukee Bucks team play, Chris Middleton has been the Batman.
Right.
He's delivered when it mattered the most.
All I'm saying is you can't call that a Batman. Robin saved the day once or twice. that don't mean that he's Batman. Batman is the one that
not
all
true.
of Gotham relies on. That's who Giannis is. Everyone's relying on him game in and game out. And Chris Middleton is stepping up recently. I appreciate it. He is great. I'm not trying to denigrate him. He's awesome. But he ain't Batman.
All right, well, I guess the roles can be debated, but Middleton does continue to step up. With that performance last night, Middleton became the first Bucks player with a 20-point fourth quarter in the past 25 seasons. Also, the last Bucks player in the last 25 seasons to have a 20-point quarter in any point of the game. That was also Chris Middleton. So he does continue to step up, showing his dominance in the postseason. But guys, we got a lot to get to. I told you we only have 1 hour here on First Take, so let's keep it rolling. Chauncey Billups officially named the Blazers head coach, but some people question whether this hire was a good look for the league. That is because of his past. The guys debate. The Suns are 1 win away from the NBA Finals, and Devin Booker has been leading the way, averaging a team-high 27 per game this postseason, the third most in a single postseason in franchise history. DeAndre Ayton making his own history this postseason, shooting nearly 71% from the field. That's the highest field goal percentage in a single postseason in the shot clock era. And then there's Chris Paul, who continues to be a floor general, leading the team in assists per game. His assist to turnover ratio this postseason is the 5th best in the last 40 years. All right, so we have a lot to choose from. So, Neek, who is the most valuable as far as the success of the Suns is concerned?
All right, so I'm not going to pick Chris Paul, even though he is the smartest guy on that team and the most experienced. I'm not even going to go with Devin Booker, even though he's the best scorer and the most skilled. Of their big three, I'm going with the big man. I'm going with DeAndre Ayton, because it seems to me that the skills that he has can't be replicated by anybody else on that team. No one is better at running the team than Chris Paul. But we've seen Devin Booker, serviceably be a point guard and distributor and run the pick and roll and all that stuff. No one scores as well as Booker. But we've seen Campaign come out and cook for a hot minute and do things like that. Nobody can do what DeAndre Ayton can do on that team as far as rebounding, giving them offensive rebounds, which is just as good as turnovers, giving them the ball back in those situations. But more importantly, it's his ability to stay on the floor on the defensive end of the court. Because we see in the playoffs, and we saw it especially with Utah, with Rudy Gobert, is how difficult it is for a big man to be able to protect the rim and also be switched on the little guys and be okay. DeAndre Ayton has done that. And my fear, the reason why I think he is probably the most important person right now, is that they could get away. They did get away with not having Chris Paul on the floor for a game, and they won. And they can get away for stretches of not having Devin Booker out there, or not even having him play all that well, because after he broke his nose, he hasn't been the same necessarily since that happened, and with Patrick Beverley on him. But I don't think they can survive without a big man like they have in DeAndre Ayton. I think if you pull him off of this team is much worse, especially given the way that he's playing right now. And that's not even to get into his burst of offensive production that he's had in the playoffs. He is a really, really special player right now. And I know that he's not better than either of those other guys, but he's more important because his skills are harder to find and they are much needed in the playoffs.
Well, Dominique, let me say this. You are right. He is a skilled big man, and I'm a huge fan of DeAndre Ayton. I love what he has done in this postseason for us anchoring the defense on the defensive end of on the defensive side of things, and what he's provided offensively. Nice touch around the basket. He's a lob threat at the basket. He has great footwork. He has it all, in my opinion. And no one ever questioned his skill set. But let me tell you why CP3 is the most valuable, okay? Because he brought something to this team that they were missing. And that's heart. That's toughness. He instilled that into these young guys. A winning culture, winning ways, how to sacrifice, how to put yourself last, how to lose yourself in the team. And that's what we're seeing. We watch this Phoenix Suns team play, and they play a gender-free basketball. They don't care who has to shine. They don't care who's leading the team and scoring that night. They just want to get the W. And that goes to how great of a leader and floor general Chris Paul is. Now, with that being said, when it's time for him to step up and rise to the occasion, let's not forget, before he left and went and had to go into that COVID protocol, what he did to the Denver Nuggets. All right, I believe he dropped 37 in the closeout game. But when you look at what DeAndre Ayton said post-game, he said it himself. The best thing that happened for my career was CP3 coming here. He said it himself. So with that being said, that's enough said for us who's the most valuable player. CP3 is a culture changer. He may not have won the championship yet, because I strongly believe that this is his year to win the championship. He may not have won it yet, but every organization he's touched, he made them a winning a culture. So to take a team from not making the playoffs in 2000 since 2010 and getting them where they at today, CP3 is the most valuable. He should have won MVP of the league, in my opinion.
All right, now that's a whole nother debate. But I think that the problem with giving CP3 all this credit for these intangible things, I think he deserves it. I love him as a player, and the few times I spent with him, he's an awesome person, and I can see how he could motivate people in that way. But when you're doing that, you're also taking credit away from Monty Williams. Like, it's not like they didn't win, 9 straight in the bubble last year? Like, they were learning how to play together back then. Like, this is not something that CP3 just introduced to them. Like, they were playing agenda-free, as you called it, basketball back then, right? Like, they were starting to build this. Chris Paul's not the only one who does that. Monty Williams does that. And that's my point. That's why Ayton is special to me, because he's the only one on the team that they have that can do what he does, particularly on the defensive end of the ball. And his screening, I know it's not something that people want to talk a lot about, but the assists off the screens, like, that is a valuable thing that it seems like no one else on that roster can do or does do nearly as well or consistently as DeAndre Ayton. And you brought up the last series. Who was guarding Jokic? Like, that was Ayton. So I understand CP3's 37 points. It's impressive, but you watch that series, them not needing to double Jokic consistently is a credit to DeAndre Ayton. And Chris Paul, as great as he is, he's not having that impact on the defensive end of the floor.
Are you serious right now? Are you really serious right now? Look, Dominique, listen.
Okay.
I know you're watching the same. Do you have your return on? Are you watching the clips that are being played right now?
I'm watching the clips.
Okay, so in this pick and roll setting, when DeAndre Ayton is being set up for easy layups and easy lobs at the basket, who is setting these plays up for him on this return? Is it CP3?
I believe it's Chris Paul. It could be Cliff, but I think it's Chris.
It could be Chris or it could be Cliff Paul, right? From the State Farm, it could be Cliff. Right, it's Cliff Paul, right? You see what I'm saying, man. At the end of the day, I'm not taking anything away from DeAndre Ayton. I'm not taking anything away from him. He's one of my favorite players in the league. Before the season, I said he was going to have a breakout season. But Chris Paul, what he brought to that team, he brought that killer mentality. Before then, look, DeAndre Ayton last year was averaging 16 and 10, but he just brought the kill out of him. That's the difference.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. And that's why I didn't focus on the offensive side of the ball. Like, I know that a lot of his points are created by Chris Paul being able to masterfully run that pick and roll. But I do think that he might have woken DeAndre Ayton up. But now that DeAndre Ayton is awake, he's more valuable to that team. And we've seen it.
All right, well, only one game away from advancing to the finals as far as the Suns are concerned. And historically speaking, teams that are up 3-1 in a series have a 95.1 chance of winning. So things are looking good for CP3, DeAndre Ayton, and the Suns. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. We still have a lot more to get to right here on First Take. Jason Kidd will be the next head coach of the Dallas Mavericks.